The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Nick Eatman, Brian Broaddus, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, October 12th, 2022, Season 18, Episode number 49. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We are presented by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Nick, you over there drinking Miller? Is that what you're doing? Not quite?
No.
Okay. So we got a lot of things to talk about today. We got probably the most important matchup of this game that we'll talk about today, the Philadelphia Eagles offense versus the Dallas defense. To me, that is where this game will be won or lost for the Cowboys. We'll get into that and get some details on that in a second. Let's start first, though, with Mike McCarthy. And what did he say in his press conference this morning? He had an update on Dak that everybody's talking about. What did he say?
They're preparing for Cooper Rush to be the starter. I think that's the McCarthy answer that you're going to get there of, I'm not going to tell you everything, but that to me doesn't seem like it's anywhere close for Dak. He also said, Brian, that Dak's going to throw like after practice.
Yeah.
His little throws to receivers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not ready to play Sunday. I think another question is he going to be ready for next Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing is if they can get him to throw this week and they feel comfortable doing that, and then, maybe we'll see how things – I think he's going to have to throw 2 weeks before he's even going to play. So at least they're going to try to do some stuff with him today to see how if he can, as Jerry likes to say, spin the ball and things like that. So, it wasn't going to be about this week, can you be ready to play? I felt like it was going to be 2 weeks. And that's kind of what the medical staff was telling me as well. So listen, expect him. When he starts to throw, then you can start the clock on when he might be back.
I mean, this whole thing was 4 to 6 weeks, right? I mean,
It was 6 to 8 was the original thing that was out there, right?
It absolutely was until your general manager decided that he wanted to push the timeline because he didn't feel like that maybe Cooper Rush was going to win you 4 straight games.
right.
That's what
Silly.
happened. But that's
Everyone knew he was going to win 4 in a row.
Yeah. Well, that's the
I knew.
Yeah, but that's the things that happen. You're selling. Jerry is the ultimate optimist. I mean, we've all worked for him a long time. We understand that. I mean, he's always going to say, he's going to push it. He's going to, and even know that the medical guys will tell you it's a 6 to 8 week injury, Brian. So that's what the timeline's going to be. And you built a team that's good enough to win these games with a backup quarterback. And Mike McCarthy's the one guy that trusts the medical process. Doctors, trainers love working with this guy because he's going to not force somebody to get on the field that's not ready to play.
Yeah.
And this is not the ideal game for him to come back. I mean, we talked about it. Yes, you want a guy like him back on the field because we believe he could give you more opportunities to score more in games than what Cooper Rush is currently doing for you. But at the same time, I'm just like, and I've gone back and forth, and I know it won't happen. He's not going to play this weekend, but it wouldn't have been, at least for me, the right game and scenario for him to come back because depending how that game would go, if they love, I think it just
optics.
creates more.
Are you talking about the optics of how it would look if Dak comes back and they get smoked?
Kind of, but more so than that, it's also like, you guys mentioned it yesterday about his confidence when he comes back from an injury. I wonder, like, what that would do in, like, a negative effect on him, on, like, maybe playing mind games of things like that of some sort where now his confidence just kind of drops as we move forward with the season. But either way, there's no point really kind of getting into that because it's not going to happen.
But I've said that too. I mean, I've said that about, that this is my mindset on this is one where it would protect Dak a little bit because what happens. You lose this game. If some producer at ESPN's like, pull up the split screen. Like, here's Rush and here's numbers. He's 5-0 as a career starter, and he's 0-2. Here's his rating, and all that kind of stuff. And it doesn't need to happen. Dak needs to come back when he's healthy, when he's ready. But as I've said all along, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen during this. I don't think he's going to be ready here in the next few weeks. That's why I've said what I've said about I'm not benching a quarterback that's undefeated.
Yeah, but there is going to come a time when he is healthy, and if he's still undefeated,
Yeah.
I still think that it still holds true that I think that your starting quarterback comes back at that point. I know you don't agree with
No,
that.
I don't.
I
But
think
it's
you-
okay.
you
And
go back,
I
but-
think there's only two people right now that seem like they don't agree with that, and I think it was me and Jerry Jones.
Well, Jerry didn't quite say that because he said our QB1 is our QB1. What he said is, I do believe in the mojo idea. But he also followed that up with, he's our starter. Like
He followed it. The last thing he said in that sentence was, "You don't mess up a good thing."
Okay.
Right? I mean, I can pull it up, but
No, I hear what you're saying.
But he
I-
also brought back the whole Dak Romo thing, which I agree with you guys is not the same scenario here. You can't. You were looking for a quarterback, and you were like, "We've got one here."
You wanted to move on. Like you were looking for a reason to move on.
You wanted
You're
Dak
not
to be the
looking for a
guy. You
reason
don't
to
want
move
Rush
on.
to.
Yeah.
They don't want Rush to be the guy. They just want,
I don't know that anything that we've seen necessarily says he is the guy. Like, I think, again, they're winning with great defense, and that's the point. And by the way, he's doing a good job of not messing that up. Great. Thank you. That's what a good backup should be able to do, right?
No, that's what a good quarterback should do. Honestly,
A good quarterback should be able to get you more than 100 yards passing.
I agree.
So,
But the 100 yards passing, like nobody in his right mind wants to. If they don't have to pass the ball, why would you? Like, seriously, the Rams have two great players. They have a shutdown corner, and they've got a disruptive pass rusher. So if you can just run it up their ass the whole time, then why would you not? Like, I think we have a drop from Broadus that says that. That's what you do. You just keep running it. So 100 yards, I mean, I saw that on Twitter. If they would have had 100 yards and they would have lost, everyone would have been going crazy. And I'm like, they wouldn't have. They wouldn't have lost. They wouldn't have had 100 yards. He would have had 300 hollow yards that Matthew Stafford had because they lost. And that you have to play the game differently. So I don't know. I mean, I think those stats are ridiculous that 10 of 16, 102 yards. Okay, I mean, but they didn't have to. This big, bad defense of the Rams could not stop Zeke and Pollard and them running and running and running. He had three really bad throws. He had three bad throws early in the game. He had three that bounced off but he wasn't really trying to move the ball.
That's all great until you run into a team that has a better offense. By the way, and we're going to get into this. Right. Run into a team that has a better offensive line. Run into a team that has more dimensions to their offense than just one receiver who might be great, but it's one receiver. Like, until you run into that, then maybe you're going to have to do more than that. And that's where, I thought I saw a stat where he hasn't trailed, or he's only trailed by a very, very small margin, a small amount of time since he started these games. Like, that's a benefit. What happens when you get into that game where somebody comes in and smacks you in the mouth and they're up 14-0?
Vikings.
Okay, that's fair. That's a year ago, but
that's all I got.
And by the way, the defense wasn't what it was, so that goes to your credit.
I know.
That's actually a point for you. What I'm saying is, though, this year he has not had that situation. This is about this defense, and we will see what happens when he has a different scenario.
I've been painted into this that I hate Dak, whatever, and I'm stand by the 80-20. 80% thing from yesterday. I 100% believe that if you got a quarterback with a bad thumb, then why would you play him? Why would you?
Absolutely,
he's not going to be better.
Yeah.
So
we all agree on that. We all agree on that.
I don't know.
He needs to be healthy with the thumb before you put him back out there.
Brian, what do you think about that?
No, it's just it's a very good discussion. It really, really is. And I wanted to believe when I went into this season, I said the biggest difference between these two teams was the quarterback, and I felt like you had the better one. You don't have the better one now.
Right.
You just don't. And to give credit, though, to Hurts, he's played a lot better.
Yeah,
he
really good.
really has. I remember, it working on the draft, in the draft show and stuff like that, and we were talking about Josh Allen, and everybody was like, God, he can't throw. He's not accurate. He's not this. He's not that. You could say the same thing about Jalen Hurts. Same thing, hey, make him do this, make him do that. Well, when you make him do that, he's actually delivering a little bit, and that's what's making this offense much better. And you're going to lose the battle of the quarterbacks in this game. And your hope is that your defense can, because it's going to be a struggle to have to deal with all the things that they do. But you're capable. There's teams that have slowed these guys down. They've scored early in games, and all of a sudden teams have kind of figured out what they're doing. But, man, it's going to take a lot of discipline to do it. But I usually believe when Dak plays in this games against Philadelphia, I believe he's won 5 games. He's only lost a couple against them. Division opponents, he's usually pretty good. I mean, if you had Dak Prescott a healthy one, you're saying, okay, now you can, with this defense and Dak playing against Philadelphia, the confidence that you would have, that Dak would have in this game, it's like, I don't lose against division opponents. Mm-hmm. I might lose to other teams, but I ain't losing these division opponents. That's the confidence I think he would carry in this game. But you don't have that advantage now. Yep. That's a problem.
Real quick, Nick, let's get some updates on a couple other defensive players. Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, what are we hearing about them?
Looks like they're going to be held out a little bit and limited in practice on Wednesday of today's practice. I'm just thinking Wednesday's practice limited. Thursday probably ramp them up into getting ready to play. I mean, those guys, you can easily say just leave them out. But this is so important because of how much they move around.
Right.
And the other guys are moving around too. It's not just Diggs at corner, he's not in, put this guy in, and then put him back in. It's like all the packages that Dan Quinn wants to run, they're very exotic moves, and and you're moving Dorrance Armstrong around, you're moving all these guys around, so you got to be careful with that. So limited, but I just to make sure that he's okay, but he's got to get out there at least mentally to be a part of all this.
Yeah, Nick hit the nail on the head right there. There's so many things that you do scheme-wise with Parsons that not having him. It's a little bit like, and I said it yesterday on the radio with Amari Cooper. When Amari Cooper doesn't practice and then all of a sudden they're calling plays and the other receivers are going, wait, I've practiced this with somebody else. I haven't practiced it. And then Amari runs the route 1,000% better than the guy he's practicing with. There's a difference in that. So I'm hearing, though, that the injury with Micah is not severe. Mm-hmm. It's not severe. It's something that he's going to fight through, but it's not one of those ones where they're going to pull him out. They're going to, if he needs a little rest, they'll give him a little rest. But they're going to treat him like they're treating all their hurt guys. There's no different. I mean, he's going to be ready to play in this football game, from what I heard.
Yeah. When they were talking about after the game, and Mike McCarthy talked about it. They wouldn't have Micah Parsons finished the game. They wouldn't have put him back into the field to play if it was a type of injury that he would have re-aggravated it or made it worse. So that was kind of a decision that the training staff and him made at the time, that it was more something, are you okay to deal with the discomfort?
Yeah.
Other than that, it should be okay. There's no signs of aggravating it and all that. So it seems like it's not really going to be a problem. Look how he played. Even after he went out and came back in, he got
player of the week, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Defensive player of the week.
I think what they said was, Micah, how are you feeling? Are you feeling okay? And he's like, yeah, I think and he come back, he's like, yeah, I think so. And it's like, Dorrance Armstrong is pretty close to you in sacks, and so is D-Law. I mean, they're gaining on you here. And they're like, what? He's tied with you in sacks. Dorrance is. Give my helmet. Here we go. 2 sacks. Now I'm up to 6.
The funny thing about that whole sequence, the final sack, was that if you saw the sidelines, and I know you guys were probably heading on down to the field, he gets the sack, he comes on the sidelines, and Dak slams him with his right hand in the chest. And I'm going, wow, okay, we got a potentially hurt guy and then a really hurt guy just slamming his hand on his chest. They're all just having fun. And I'm thinking, please don't do that again.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, we don't want any extra swelling. We won't need that. All right, let's go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, we're going to dive in Philadelphia offense versus Dallas defense. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite and 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Homeownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
Back to the break.
Miller Lite is proud to bring you Q Barbecue Fest Dallas, located at Miller Lighthouse at AT&T Stadium. Join your Cowboys from November 4th through November 6th for some of the best barbecue in the country. Brian, are you paying attention to this? Because November 4th through the 6th.
I think I'm going to go.
Brian is a barbecue guy.
I mean, I know. So, get your tickets. SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing provider of AT&T Stadium. Barbecue Fest, November 4th through the November 6th. Bye weekend for the Cowboys.
Is it bye?
Yeah, Heim Barbecue, really, really good. I probably shouldn't say these things on air. I'm probably getting in trouble for this. Heim Barbecue. Matt Pittman's a great guy from Meat Church. Huge,
I use that. I use that seasoning.
Huge Cowboys fan. Matt
It's some in my drawer upstairs actually.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I use it.
They got it all.
Yeah,
they got it all.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna jump into this talk about Philly's offense versus Dallas defense. This segment brought to you by Blockchain.com. Brian, tell me what's the best thing that this Philadelphia offense does.
Keeps you on your toes. And Mike McCarthy said it today in the press conference, the stress levels that you have to deal with. There's a ton of movement with the wide receivers. There's screens to tight ends. There's screens to backs. There's screens to receivers. They're delayed screens. There's a power running game involved. There's the RPO stuff where remember the Daniel Jones early in the game where he faked the handoff inside. He went to his left, and then he threw. As the Cowboys reacted, he threw the ball to the outside. Mm-hmm. That's what you get with this offense, and it's really very creative in the way they do things. The quarterback's playing at a very high level. They've got outstanding personnel to run it, but they're a little banged up in this offensive line. And if you somehow catch a break where Jack Driscoll is playing left tackle instead of Jordan Mailata, then you're in pretty good shape here. But they've got a really good center, the way that he plays, and and that's really what you're dealing with. Like, you're just dealing with a lot of skill, but they're very creative. When you're thinking like, okay, they're running, we're getting a feel for the plays, and then all of a sudden they get in another formation, and there's that delayed tight end screen. They throw that delayed tight end screen to the left. Every one I've seen, all the games I've watched. So if you get Dallas Goedert, if you're watching the game and you're thinking, oh, this is kind of a crucial play here, he lines up like a wing left. They're likely going to get a screen to that side. So, I know the Cowboys do their advanced scouting. That's what I used to do for a living when I was here. They go through all these things. You see the trends. But, man, it's a unique group to watch because of all the skill that they have and how they use all that skill.
Let's assume they're at their best on the offensive line.
Yeah.
All their guys are playing. Where are they vulnerable?
I think the best shot would be to – and I know Lane Johnson is a guy that's a Pro Bowl type player, all-pro type player. I think he's the lightest of the two tackles for sure. When you start to talk about the power, and that Tank has played pretty well against him. Tank can break him down in the past. I've watched games where Tank has a feel if that guy's going to set him soft. Tank kind of understands how to attack him. So I would say Lane Johnson would be a guy that maybe I would look at there. The thing with Mailata, he's just so huge. He's mammoth. Now, what they did was there were some the games that he played that I watched early in the season before he got hurt. He's so big that he just sets, and it's hard to run around him because he's so wide. But he sets back off the line. So to me, I'm thinking about trying to take him up the field a little bit, get him to kick wide because he thinks he's going to get beat on that edge and run that thing underneath on him. And then I would make Landon Dickerson, the guard, have to deal with, he might have to deal with Osa or somebody like that. So if you get Mailata at one-on-one, outside, and then hit him back underneath and go straight directly inside. Now, the problem with that is if you come running inside and you miss, that quarterback spins and he's gone. That's the problem.
This quarterback, that's
that's the problem. There used to be a time when I was working with you guys, we always talked about how to make some of these quarterbacks play in these games, especially the ones that can run. You got to make this guy play backwards. And, I mean, make him have to drop. Don't let him come to the line, throw. It's like the Russell Wilson thing. When you get Russell Wilson playing him and he's running at the line like back in the day, he could throw it that way. This guy, when you kind of get him playing backwards, it's a problem for him. He doesn't. His mechanics.
He's short too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not the biggest guy in the world.
His mechanics go to hell. When it really, really does. And so, he's throwing off balance and 1 foot and all that, and the ball tends to go a little high. So if you could find a way to kind of keep him there and then make him go backwards. Don't let him go towards the line. Make him play backwards.
Really love what we've seen and what you were talking about with getting off the edge and making the guard do all that. I love what I'm seeing out of Tank and Micah working together, right in that same side. We saw it if you watched what's our show that Alex does?
Sounds from the Sideline.
Sounds from the Sideline. They were talking. Yeah, if you watch, it's
gets really good numbers for you.
Yeah, it really does. But this week, like you saw them, they were looking at something, and D-Law almost was like offended. I don't know if you saw it. He was like, they left me one-on-one, and they had 2 guys on you to Micah. And it's like that's crazy.
How dare they?
Yeah, and he was like, what?
What you have to be careful of, and you're absolutely right, because I do worry about, and I know I say this all the time because of how aggressive this defense is. This is the best screen team that you've played, and you're going to get. Now I worry about the chip on with Dallas Goedert chipping, and then all of a sudden you get and then he just circles back and they throw the ball to him in the flat and stuff like that. This goes all the way back to the Eagles when Andy Reid was there. They were a great screen team.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Always been a great screen team.
Brian Westbrook,
and people like that. They have some really creative ways to run the screen because they've got some athletic offensive linemen that can do it.
Well, we know how important it is for the Cowboys defense to play well this weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking worst case scenario type. I'm not saying Micah is not okay. We just talked about him. But given in a worst case scenario type of game that something happens and he has to come out, how do you feel that this defense would be able to play without him on the field?
It's never easy because of so much of your scheme is based around him. But you're starting to see some guys when he wasn't in there. Sam Williams stepped up and did some really good things. Yeah. Nick mentioned, with Tank and what you can do with him. Fowler's another guy that can kind of fill in if you have to. This game is going to come down to how well you play with your eyes because you're going to get so much movement and circling back and deception. It's a smoke and mirrors offense is what it is. It's like, it's like going to Vegas and the magic show. Okay, here you go. And then, and it's, wow, how'd that happen? That's how they run this offense. But they do have an element of it to be able to run the football, but they do it pulling guys and getting guys out on the edge and then the with the ball handling stuff. So, it's Micah not being in there is not great. I think you got guys. But how well you see things this week, how well you're able to give it like, okay, don't get fooled, and then go tackle.
It seems like Philly does, like they're not worried about anybody. They go do their thing. Right. Garrett used to always say that. We go run our stuff. But I also seen every game the Cowboys have faced this year, every quarterback they face, they have to see where Parsons is.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, is going to be an interesting part. Do the Eagles go and run their stuff, or do they let Parsons dictate what they do and then go against it?
I think I heard yesterday that their coach said,
he said something
on every single play, we're going to know where
Yeah.
Michael Parsons is. And by the way, guess what? For the rest of this year and probably for the rest of his career, every team, if they're smart, will go to the line of scrimmage and identify where is it left.
The Cowboys won the Super Bowl in 1995 because Larry Brown had 9 interceptions, including 3 in the postseason. because Dion was over there,
Yeah.
and
Where's Dion?
But
Let's go the
Larry
other way.
Brown stepped up because of all of that, and because of Dion could take his guy and all that, and that's why Dorrance Armstrong is the Larry Brown of this team. Like Dorrance Armstrong, if he can continue to do his thing, if Tank and Mike are going over here, if Dorrance keeps making plays over here. I mean, same with like Anthony Brown. If Anthony Brown continues to do things with Trayvon Diggs over here, I mean, that's what's going to make this a really, really great defense. It is a great defense.
Yeah. Obviously, we talked about Jalen Hurts and how well he's playing right now. Where do you think he's improved most? Like, what part of his game is the best
accuracy.
relative?
The accuracy has. Yeah, and it's just not the numbers. It's just there's been times where when he's on the move, he's thrown the ball very well. There were times where you could get him outside the pocket and he would just completely kind of fall apart with his accuracy. But he's got almost that whippy arm too. He can bring. I mean, I remember it reminds me back in the day when Randall Cunningham used to be with Philly and he was here for a minute, but that throwing motion, you get it and you get a lot of generate and you get the body into it and stuff. He's thrown some really pretty deep balls. They got this guy, this Quez Watkins, that they're gonna test Dallas on a couple of these deep shots in this football game, just because they have the speed on the outside to do it. But his accuracy and ball placement has really improved.
How about this? These two stats that go right into what you're saying. Hurts is 5th in the NFL in completion percentage at 67.9%, which, that's not as completion percentage is not as big as it used to be because all these little pop passes and screens and all that. But you say that, he's second in the NFL in average per gain at 8.5.
Yeah.
So either he's chunking it down the field a lot or his guys are making a lot of yards after catch. Yeah. Either way, like he's second in average gain and also 5th in completion percentage. That means it's working pretty well for them.
They've got some talented. They've got size with A.J. Brown on the outside. He's going to do very well. Smith is more of a slot type move guy. The guy that could kill you is that Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
It's hard to cover. It's hard to cover these tight ends, and we look at in the league, and it's been a trend. Kansas City, all these teams that have these tight ends that make plays down the field underneath,
with Gates,
and then can run after catch. Yeah. That's the. I tell you, there's plenty of passes where it's been run after catch with these guys. The games I watched, that's the thing. Catch, tackle. Don't let them. The Cowboys did a great job, with the exception of the one play, the one time when Cooper Kupp caught the ball and went for 75 yards. Other than that, they did a really good job of rallying and tackling.
So when you think about these three receiving options, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, which do you think is the toughest matchup for the Cowboys?
Goddard.
So obviously, and I want to be clear about this. It's not so much which one is the better player, as much as I want to know which one do you think, based on how Dallas will have to defend them, can give them a
lot of their offense, believe it or not, does go through Dallas Goedert. It really does. It's just such an easy throw for this guy to make.
Even if he got somebody like Curse on him, who has done really well against some of the best tight ends in the league.
Absolutely. That's your. I think in this game, they're going to try and get, Brown and stuff like that. I mean, Brown, they threw a screen to Brown in the game. Arizona dropped the ball. I mean, it's not that always happens, but their wide receivers have had some problems with, when they had an interception in the Jacksonville game that went clanging off Smith or Pascal. It might have been Pascal. I'm sorry, Zach Pascal. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing about it is, though, the guy that's been the most sure-handed for them has been Dallas Goedert. And can you match up with him? Yeah, you've got the guys with the safeties and stuff like that to be able to do that.
Yeah. I mean,
I was going to say, I feel like the Cowboys defense, one of the best things that they have been doing is kind of when they get into, like, the field starts shortening.
The red zone area,
The red zone area, even when they get around the 30s or so.
Right.
But is this a game where, I mean, now you're at a point where you really, really need to try to keep them out of that, and maybe they're not as successful as they've been with other teams. But now, when you talk about punting and where you punt the ball, and where the offense has to come off the field, and now placement of the ball and all that. So it's I guess where I'm trying to get at is, even though that has been one of the best areas for the Cowboys defense, is this a team that's actually not going to allow the Cowboys to be so successful there.
Yeah, I think because when you get down the red zone with these guys, they'll run the ball, and they'll run the ball with the quarterback. They got in a situation in the what game was it they were playing? They had five illegal men downfield penalties in the game.
Eagles?
The Eagles did, and I think it was the Jacksonville game, I think it was. But I was watching, they kept trying to get guys downfield, and so all of a sudden it's like, okay, then they kept getting backed up. And what do? They started just running the ball, and they got in a situation where it was like, 1st and 20, and then they started running. And then the quarterback, they got down in the red zone, and it was like 3rd and goal to goal, but they were running from their own 15.
Yep.
And the quarterback ran for like 11, and then he ran for 5, and they just powered that thing in with him running. So that's the thing about it. You could try the quarterback's ability to run. It really hurts you when you're down there, especially in the red zone, because he's going to pull it and then he's going to take off. You're committing to stopping running backs or things like that, and he pulls the ball and they do another thing they get like in 4th down and 1. They do the Bush push. They do, they did
that for a touchdown last week.
Yeah, they did it. They have a back that lines up right behind the quarterback, and he just pushes the pile. I mean, they push the pile. They get just great surge on these plays, and then they go no huddle on you too. So I know I'm saying a lot of things, but yeah, the red zone stuff is really dangerous because of the ability of A.J. Brown to go get the ball. But the quarterback's ability to run the ball, I think, is the thing. If you could keep him out of that, that's where he kind of takes it upon himself to make these plays.
I mean, is he the leading candidate for the MVP right now?
I would say so.
Him or Lamar Jackson.
And I would throw in there Mahomes has been playing some really
just
good
look at numbers.
Yeah.
Jackson's been really good too.
But you look at your undefeated team right now, and also all that stuff we were just saying about passing, accuracy and all that stuff. But then you also look at it, and he's runs for 266 yards and 6 touchdowns. Yeah. But those illegal man downfields, I mean, I put that without even seeing the tape. I bet you a lot of that is on Hurts. Because when you get those running quarterbacks like that, he's going to take off. So the line.
Oh no! These are screens.
On screens.
These are screens that go that they're set up like screens. But the ball gets thrown forward, and these guys are like
already
down the field. Yeah.
Okay.
I was trying to remember the official what game it was. Man, I mean all these games going in my head. But there was they got to the point where the head coach Sirianni was like losing his mind on the sidelines at the officials because of they just kept calling it. They just kept calling it, and it was one of those days.
I hate that. I hate when you get a crew that wants to kind of set the tone with a call.
Yeah,
and we saw it in the Raiders game last year.
Yeah, I would do something if I was Mike McCarthy. I would go up to the officials and talk about the alignment though of Mailata, the tackle.
He's way back there.
He's way back. I would immediately go and say, if you're going to let him line up that deep, we're going to line up that deep too. We'll put Tyler Smith. We'll line him up deep too. That's Jordan Mailata is having to line up deeper because he's not as quick. Mm-hmm. He's not as quick as Lane Johnson, so he has to cheat. He has to cheat to be able to get to the outside.
All right, we're going to take our final break. When we come back, I want to talk offensive line, particularly the offensive line of the Cowboys' opponents. I found this really interesting stat about these offensive line, or where these offensive lines the Cowboys have placed or have played rank right now. We'll talk about that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field, United Ag and Turf. With John Deere zero turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf, for winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
This sweet! Did you get to work on time?
Yeah, but I just realized it's Sunday.
Little Sweet says head on home. Dr. Pepper's on its way. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you've probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you invest your nest egg in an NFT?
Yeah, and I don't even know what that is.
It's a non-fungible token. Everyone's done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
When you build, you start with the foundation. And home ownership is a foundation of a stable future. The Bank of America Community Homeownership Commitment has helped over 34,000 people lay the groundwork so far, with up to $10,000 towards your down payment or 3% of the purchase price, whichever is less. The satisfaction of owning your own place can become a reality. Visit bankofamerica.com/homeowner to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America N.A. Equal Housing Lender. Credit and collateral is subject to approval. Restrictions apply. This is not a commitment to lend.
Back to the break.
Limited tickets for the remaining home games of the 2022 Dallas Cowboys season at AT&T Stadium are available now. Visit DallasCowboys.com/tickets or SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing provider of AT&T Stadium.
Final segment of the break, live from SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, presented by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Check this out. Here's what I found as I was looking through some of the numbers around the offensive line play for some of Dallas's opponents. Cincinnati, 29th in sacks allowed. Washington, 30th in sacks allowed. Los Angeles Rams, 31st in sacks allowed. Even the Giants, 25th in sacks allowed. Question for you guys. Do you think that these teams are ranked so low because of the Cowboys? Or do you think they really are that bad and the Cowboys just took advantage of a poor offensive line?
That's a good question, because a lot of times that happens early in the year, and you have to factor that in. Like, one of the reasons why you're ranked so low.
It may not be a coincidence that all the teams they've played are down at the bottom of the league.
But I think 5 games in, I mean, that kind of goes to show that, and also Broaddus has said it every time, like, this line has got some issues, and they have, and so
even Tampa Bay, by the way,
and so he saw those issues based off of other games. So I think it probably
he does say that every week.
Yeah,
it's been a common thing.
Yeah, they're some issues.
So I think more than anything, the Cowboys have taken advantage of bad lines or decent to bad lines.
This one has least issues that he played so far.
Dang it.
But it has an issue like we were talking about if, in fact, if Jordan Mailata is not healthy at left tackle, Jack Driscoll, you could take – they will have 2 very light tackles. I mean light in a way of not very strong. Now, Lane Johnson is a good player.
Yeah.
But there's been some really, really good battles.
They're all getting down the field. They're all running themselves down the field.
There's been some really good battles with Tank and Lane Johnson.
Yeah.
And Lane Johnson and Tank knows how to play Lane Johnson. But Jack Driscoll is just hanging on to me personally. If he's in this game, that's the guy I'm attacking right here. Yeah. You see 63 in the game at left tackle. I'm doing everything in my power. But the thing about it is, if you're the Cowboys, if you get a free run at this quarterback, finish. Don't let him slide through or avoid and duck underneath or whatever. You've got to finish. I mean, that's the thing that could kill this. I mean, you're right there. You have a great rush. The scheme works, and then you don't finish in the pocket. They've done a good job of doing that, but this guy kind of stresses you out that way, because if you miss, he's going to be gone. He's going to run, and he's probably going to put a big hurt on you for doing it.
That's a good point, Derek. Good thinking outside the box, looking into these stats. But,
there's a butt coming.
But but I don't care about that. I'm gonna stick with the thought and believe that the Cowboys' defensive line is just good.
That good.
Yes, that
okay.
good.
So
and that dominant. You're not gonna
We just get an AF out of that one.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
we
got an AF
censored.
from AG. Yeah. Okay, so what happens then when the Cowboys do run up against? Because there's good offensive lines out there. Yeah. There's some on the schedule. What happens when they run into those? And what happens if that's this weekend? Let's say they're at full strength. What happens then? Because the way that they've been winning games more than anything else is they've been getting after the quarterback.
They have.
So what happens?
I just don't see a scenario. I mean, it just won't be as easy, okay? But I just don't see a scenario where they completely shut them down and they're just protecting Hurts the whole time and it's like untouchable guy. Yeah. I can't see that happening. Something's got to give, and I think that the Cowboys defensive line, they have enough guys to be able to keep you on your toes, keep putting pressure, and be successful at times. And they're not just going to let you have, like, this whole game, you're taking over the game peacefully, finding them. There's going to be some pressure created in whatever way that Dan Quinn is going to figure things out for.
I totally agree with that. But in your scenario, what happens? They get blown out. I mean, the Cowboys get their ass kicked and they lose bad. I mean, go look at Michael Jordan's record when he scores less than like 15 points. I bet the Bulls lost a lot. Yeah. This team is predicated on Micah Parsons and this D-line getting after the quarterback's ass. And if they can't do it, then I don't see a 400-yard game from Cooper Rush and they're going to go and they just win 38-35. Like, if that happens, then
now let's start having that conversation.
If that happens,
you can legitimately start having that
now
conversation
we got
about
issues.
keeping a
If they
quarterback.
win a game like that, 38-30,
This is one of those games, and we always talk about like measuring stick games. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like when Carolina came in here with the number 1 ranked run defense, and then you just smashed them on the ground last year, you know, and everybody's like, oh, that was not the number 1, you know. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if whoever wins this game, the other one is going to have the bragging rights. The defense is legitimately going to say, we shut down, other than maybe Buffalo or Kansas City or maybe the Ravens, we shut down the best offense in the National Football League. That's the bragging rights for the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. If it flips the other way and Philadelphia wins, you're going to hear the narrative coming out of Philadelphia. That's not the best defense we've played this year.
Yep.
You know, that's, you know, and now you're going to start to hear, now the doubt creeps in. Oh, is it only about a pass rush? Is it only about bad offensive lines? Mm-hmm. You know, you win this game, everything is continue on the rise, and you smashed a really good offense. You lose this game, then all of a sudden the doubters start talking about the stuff that Nick was talking about.
So as we've talked about Jalen Hurts and his ability, Brian, you just mentioned it, him kind of avoiding the rush, and then he's out of the pocket. In a game like this, would you opt to say, I will be less aggressive with my rushers? I will tell them, you can rush, but rush in a very disciplined way to make sure you maintain your gap integrity, to make sure you don't create lanes for him? Or do you just say, hey, guys, we're going to do what we do, which is we're going to get after the quarterback, and if he leaks out a few times, we'll deal with that?
Yeah, I think there has to be, I hate riding the fence, but this has to be one of those balance acts where you show him aggressive, and then you muddle him, where he's stepping up and he's going back. I think the longer you make him hold the ball, the more panicky he will get. Right. So that's, to me, I'm coming after him, and then I'm going to make him feel like, okay, you're in for this all day. And then all of a sudden, then you muddle rush him where it's not, or then you have, Donovan Wilson, you have him spying, waiting, kind of hovering, waiting. If the guy takes off, run. Whoever's spying, that's got to be my best tackler, whoever that is.
I would have a spy every play almost.
So to me, attack, and then muddle, attack, muddle, attack. Kind of just mix it up to where he does not get a feel for how you're playing him in this game.
And I think the good thing about having this depth at safety is that you have multiple guys that can spy. Yeah. So it's not like, oh, well, it's going to be Donovan Wilson, or it's going to be Curse, or it's going to be, I doubt it would be Hooker. But, I mean, even Leighton at times, that scares me. But, you might have.
But he did a good job of that. It was 1 week earlier this year where he actually came up and made a big sack that he was just basically waiting and spying the quarterback.
Don't rule out somebody we're not even talking about, like a Mukwamu or something like that, or he's put
Barr maybe.
Barr, C.J. Goodwin, I mean, we've seen him on Kamara. I mean, we've seen things like that. Yeah. So you never know. I mean, it'll be a mixed bag.
I just kind of feel like, though, to me, this quarterback will run and he'll get as much as he can. But if he feels that you're near him, he'll also get down real quick too.
He's been sacked 11 times.
Yeah. So if he breaks and he feels defensive pressure, he'll get down on the ground. So that's
and similar to last week. I think the defense needs to set the tone right off the bat. Like as soon as the game starts, set the tone. And another thing that actually scares me, despite the Cowboys' offense running the ball and everything like that, there are times that the offense still, like I look, they go in, and the next thing I know, I look back up and they're about getting off the field. I'm like, that was it? What did they do? So it's like, how much is this defense, the Cowboys defense, going to be getting tired playing in this kind of level, going against the Eagles?
They're going to run no huddle. I know they are. They're going to run no huddle.
Almost everybody's done that.
Yeah, they're going to run no huddle because they don't want you to just switch your personnel for sure. Yeah.
Yep. All right, we appreciate you joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll get into the Philadelphia Eagle defense versus the Cowboys offense. So then for Nick Eatman, Brian Broaddus, and Amber Garcia, I am Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?